Hello and welcome back to Top Bins. This week we've got a cracking preview for you of all the big Premier League games that are coming up this weekend, including Liverpool versus City and who we think is going to win that absolute monumental game. So without any further ado, let's get stuck in. Let's have a look first at the picks from last week.
Yes, let's look at those.
I don't really want to talk about them too much.
Oh,
so
please,
Dave,
allow me.
All right.
So we're at that's game week 7's picks, and if you can tell, I'm pretty happy, and it's because it's the first week that I've done better than Mike. And there's not going to be many of these this season, I feel like. But I'm going to enjoy this week because I can. So
7 out of 10, Dave.
7 out of 10.
Lovely result. Shaking the tag of 50%, Dave. He's gone and got 7 out of 10 and 2 exacts this week. Excellent form from Davey Stewart. Superb stuff.
And look, not bad from yourself.
No.
6 out of 10, that's above 50% plus one exact match. Not a bad result from yourself.
No.
We won't go through them all. They're all up there, but let's just have a quick talk about the exact matches. You were very close with yours. 3-0 at Huddersfield looked a good shout. I thought I might have underdone it with 2-0, but 2-0 it was.
Yeah.
But we both picked a good 2-0 win for Wolves, and they duly delivered.
Well done, Wolves. Did the business for us. Picking up those points as a newly promoted team, they've got to be delighted with that. And looking dominant against Southampton as well. That played out exactly how we thought it would, and they got the 2-0 win.
So if we look up there, you'll see it hasn't changed the standings in the head-to-head so far for the season, but I'm inching closer, and that's all that I care about. I want to keep the pressure on, and you can tell he's feeling the pressure. He wasn't a happy lad at the end of today's
Smashing
game.
desks, I was today.
He was. It was. I'd show you a video, but I think we'd get a strike.
That penalty,
on YouTube.
that Bournemouth penalty, I was doing my nutting for that.
Fabulous.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, let's move on to this week because game week 8 has, as Mike said, got a couple of
humdingers. Let's start off at the Amex, Brighton and West Ham. Now this is a bit of a tough one. This one, the early kickoff, tough game.
West Ham have made this hard. Brighton started well.
Yeah.
They've tapered off. They've made it hard. West Ham started like absolute horse shit.
Yeah.
And have come back and look a better team. Amex is a tough place to
Brighton
play.
at home on a Friday night under the lights. It's going to be a tough one, this one. I'm going to let you did this to me last week, Dave. I'm going to let you call this one first this week, mate.
Here we go.
Because I don't know which way I'm going yet with this one.
Well, I think that's by virtue of 7 out of 10. You're going to let me go first, aren't you?
Winner first.
Yeah, I've got to enjoy this. 1 week I'm going to enjoy this team, and I'm really going to. But look, West Ham have improved immeasurably, and I think the reason that weirdly I'm actually going to back them in this game is because I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Arnautovic. Anderson's starting to warm into it. Yarmolenko's warming into it. And it makes Immobile Noble kind of not need to Immobile Nobile. It makes him not need to have to run around so much. And I know United didn't need him to because they were piss poor in midfield, but he's just sitting back and spraying passes, playing that sort of quarterback role.
Yep.
Those three are playing really well off each other. And Brighton just, if Glenn Murray doesn't fire, they've got nothing going forward for goals.
Yeah.
I'm going to back West Ham, and I'm going to back them to the tune of 2-1.
You know what? I've been thinking about this one, and I think that yes, Brighton lost to City last week, but as we heard Chrissy Houghton say in a post-match, he's not setting his teams up to go out, and he's not looking at the fixture list and thinking he's going to get 3 points against City. But what he is thinking he's going to do is get points against teams like West Ham at home. And I think they'll set up very differently against West Ham. I think they'll press high. They'll be energetic. They'll be well organised. I think that there's an opportunity for them to get goals against the West Ham defence that I'm not convinced by. I think that Knockout could cause Zabaleta some problems.
Because he just put him in his fantasy team.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't. I dropped him in the end. I haven't gone with him, but I do think this is the kind of game that someone like Knockout will get points in.
I do agree. I think he's a good player.
And I think that West Ham are confident as well. I think that Arnautovic is in good form. Yarmolenko's in good form. Anderson's starting to come into it. I can see a score draw here, Dave.
I thought the fence was being sat on.
I'm gonna go with 2-2. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a 2-2 draw. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yep, that's fair. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a close game, and I actually think, like, looking at this game now versus maybe 6 weeks ago,
it'll be a lot different.
This will actually be a good game. And Friday night, football in the Premier League.
Love
I'm
it.
into that.
Love
into
it.
that.
All right, Burnley, Turf Moor, Huddersfield. It's another game, just the same as the Cardiff game at the weekend for Burnley. They're looking at that and they're thinking, we need these 3 points. And because of that, and because of the form that they're in, the fact that Huddersfield's really going to struggle for goals this season, I think it's going to be a very similar game to the Cardiff game that Burnley just played at the weekend. I think that Burnley are going to get the better of Huddersfield, and I'm going to go 3-1 to Burnley this weekend.
I'm going to think it's the same as the Cardiff game to the tune of 2-1.
2-1.
I think Huddersfield showed a lot against Spurs to make me think, okay, they're not guaranteed relegation.
Yeah.
They're going to probably be relegated, but they're going to have some fight in them. And in parts, they looked good, but I think Burnley are starting to get it together. Certainly look a lot better at the back. At home, 2-1.
Yep, all right. Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace and Wolves. Another tough one, this one. But I do think that Wolves are on such great form, looking so good going forward, and defensively looking solid. Patricio in goal, great signing for Wolves. I think that they've probably got a bit too much for Palace. But Palace being at home, I can see them being up for this and giving Wolves a good game. It's a tight pitch at Selhurst Park. And I think that might play to Palace's advantage a little bit. Because of that, I am actually going to go for a draw in this game. I'm going to go with 1-1.
I was flirting with 1-1 myself, but look, I just can't go past Wolves at the moment.
Looking good.
They're playing really well, and while Palace are at home, they're just not convincing me at all this season. No. And it's a does Zaha show up type thing. Yeah. Flip a coin. If he shows up, they might win it. If they're not, but look, Wolves 2-1.
All right, so bit of a split prediction there again. So let's move over to Leicester. King Power. Leicester against Everton. Two teams who have come off the back of 2 good wins over the weekend. 2 teams with players in midfield and up front who are starting to find a bit of form. It's going to be a battle, this one. It's going to be a real battle. And I think that, personally, I think that Leicester are going to come out on top of this one. I think that being at home again, big advantage. Especially the King Power, they get right behind them back there. They've got some boisterous fans. I think Vardy and Maddison being in the form that they're in, probably going to be the difference in this game. I can see Everton getting goals though, and I can see this being a high-scoring game. I'm going to go 3-2 to Leicester.
Well, I don't. We have been divided on everything, but 3-2 is exactly where I was going. Look,
2-3.
I think you're talking about if you look at our review of last week's, you can catch that on our channel.
Yep.
You'll see that I'm pretty critical of Sigurdsson not controlling games regularly enough. I'm also extremely favourable in Maddie because that's exactly what he does.
Yep.
And Maddie at home, he'll just own this game. He'll just run this game. He'll pull the strings. I think Theo Walcott will be a massive influence with his pace, with his guile, and his great crossing. And I think 3-2 is a fair result. I think it'll be a Vardy party coming up good in the end. But yeah, I think she'll be a close game and a really entertaining one. But 3-2 to Leicester.
Best kind of party's a Vardy party, lads. All right, Spurs Cardiff. This one seems like one of the more nailed on at the weekend. I can't see Cardiff going to Spurs and getting a result. I think Spurs have got too much going forward. I think Kane's probably, this is the kind of game that Harry Kane lives for. Cardiff's defensive shape is terrible, and that's exactly where Kane comes into his own. I think I can see Spurs putting a few away here. I'm going to go 4-1 Spurs.
I'm going to go 3-0 Spurs just because I don't think Cardiff can score, especially at Wembley. The problem Cardiff have got is this rotation in the back line, and if they keep rotating, which I think they will again, Spurs will take full advantage. I think you're dead right. I think this is the kind of game where Harry Kane, I'm saying 3-0. He could score all 3 of them.
He could. I think this has got Spurs written all over it. One of the easier ones to pick this weekend, I think.
Yep.
Well, having said that, it'll probably be 4-0 Cardiff, and we'll be sitting there next week talking about.
If it's 4-0 Cardiff, my God.
All right. Vicarage Road, Watford against Bournemouth. It's another game that's tough to pick.
Looks a cracker.
Both teams playing decent football this season. Both have been hit and miss. Like when they're on, and when they're not, they're looking a bit kind of all at sea. And I think they've both got forward players that are in form, that are hungry, that are looking likely to score goals, and both look susceptible at the back, and both look susceptible to a counter as well. So this is going to be a very, very tough one for me to call, but because of home advantage, I'm going with Watford on this one, and I'm going to go 2-0 on this one. I think they're going to win this 2-0. I think Bournemouth will cause problems, but I think that Watford are going to have enough to get it done and get the win.
I'm gonna go with the result. I'm backing Watford as well, but I'm gonna go 2-1 because I think Bournemouth have got a goal in them.
Yeah.
But I just think the Watford midfield slightly better.
Yep.
Slightly better, certainly at controlling a game.
Yep.
I want to see a big game from Decore.
Yep.
He needs a big game again just to ramp it up. He wasn't at his best last week.
Only player to score with his cock this season.
That's right. And hopefully that result stays till the end of the season because what a goal it was.
And what an award that would be to give him as well. Hopefully when they hand out the PFA Player of the Year and those kind of rewards, they also give best goal with the cock.
Well, if you're going to give the Puskas Award to Mo Salah's 5th best goal of last season, why not?
Yeah, well done.
But yeah, I think 2-1 Watford. I like the way both these teams have started the season, but you're right, they've been inconsistent. I just think at home Watford have got to have the goods.
All right,
this
late
is the
kick-off, United against Newcastle. What is going to happen, Davey? Tell me, talk to me.
Well, I've backed Newcastle 2 out of the last 3 weeks, and they have been piss poor.
Don't do it again, Dave.
Look, United have been shit, and I just don't see that Jose's going to get anything out of them. If they win this game, it's going to be because they are going to play against what Jose's told them to do and win in spite of him, or something like that. I don't see that he's going to bring them together and they're going to have a great week and go out there and do the job. And things are going to be great. It's just going to be another rung down the ladder in terms of how this club is looking, and Jose just doing what he did at Chelsea. I mean, it's eerily similar at the moment. Yeah. Honestly, this is going to piss people off, but 0-0.
Woo! Big call. 0-0 at Old Trafford. I can't see Newcastle doing what other teams have done against United. So when I saw that Wolves were going to go to United and I thought they were going to get the victory there, I could see there's something happening there. It's because they've got threats and because they've got outlets and because they press and they play a high energy, high tempo. And against a team that are lacking confidence, lacking form, lacking inspiration, those are the kind of ingredients that you go and you look at it and you think, yeah, there's an upset there on the cards. But Newcastle have looked very average all season. They've got nothing going forward. I just can't see them being good enough to take anything out of this game. They will go backs to the wall and try and defend and get a point out of this. I have no doubt that Rafa's going to go there and set up, and it could potentially be one of the most horrendous games to watch because United are not going to play tiki-taka around them either. So it's going to be get it out to Fellaini, lump it 40 yards and hope he can get something down. But I think that United have probably got enough here to squeeze a win. I'm going to go 1-0 United.
See, the reason I'll say 0-0 is because I genuinely think Newcastle will smell blood in the water. Yeah. And there'll be a bit more about them. But I reckon this could be the worst game of the weekend.
It could be terrible.
And in years gone by, Newcastle United at Old Trafford would have been one of the juiciest games of your weekend. I just do not see that. But 1-0, that's a fair call. I mean, look, they've got to arrest the slump. Newcastle's as good a chance as they'll get, isn't it?
In before it's 5-4 and we're talking about the best game of the season. So,
no chance.
Fulham Arsenal. Craven Cottage, Sunday. Looks like probably, for me, I've gone with Fulham and I've backed them for either a draw or a win in quite a few games this season because I think they do play good football. But the more I watch them, the more I think that they're not quite prepared for the Premier League. And I think bringing in, I didn't like Jukanovic's change at the back that he made, bringing in Tim Ream. No. Don't think he's good enough. I think that Mitrovic was nullified and looked a bit tired on the weekend. I think Arsenal have got a lot going forward that's going to threaten Fulham at the back, and I don't think Fulham are set up defensively to be able to cope with the likes of Lacazette, Aubameyang, Ozil on that kind of game. And it's a perfect game for players like that because against teams like Fulham, that's where they kind of come into their own. And we know Ozil doesn't turn up in the big games, but against the teams like Fulham and Watford and teams like that, he'll bury a couple and look like a world beater. So for that reason, even though it's at Fulham at home, I think Fulham will get a goal. I think they'll test Arsenal. But I think Arsenal have a bit too much, and I'm going to go 3-1 to Arsenal in this one.
Hashtag defensively naive.
Yes,
I mean,
there we go.
It's
we go.
my favourite Mike
T-shirts
call.
coming soon.
It's my favourite Mike call of the season so far, and it's not a joke. It's just nails exactly how I feel about Fulham, and I really feel like you do. I've seen a lot to like about them going forward. I've seen a lot this season, and I've backed them a lot this season.
Yeah.
But they have been disappointing, and they have set themselves up to fail at the back.
Yeah.
And I think that naivety at the back, even at home,
Cost you.
Arsenal, they may not be clicking, but they'll click enough to see off a Fulham team.
They've won their
doing
last
that.
4 games, mate. I think that's enough to show that they're capable of getting points in the Premier League, and I think they'll go to Craven Cottage and pick up those points. I don't think Fulham are quite ready to take on Arsenal and beat them. But having said that, I do like the style of football that Fulham play when they're on it.
Me too.
They can turn it on and sort it out defensively. This could be an upset, but I can't. My prediction is that Arsenal are going to go there.
So what you got? What's your score here?
3-1.
3-1. See, I'm going to go 3-0.
3-0.
And that's because, boy, I was impressed with Leno.
Yeah.
Really impressed with Leno. And while Mitrovic is been as good as any of the strikers in the league this year, he looked absolute horse shit last week, and he just looks a bit tired. He's had
played a lot of games,
a lot of
country,
games.
yeah.
Yep. And I think against Arsenal, who've got a pretty average backline, but I think you're going to see the better of the average backlines prevail. 3-0 Arsenal, and I do not like backing Arsenal 3-0. That feels like just giving you a result, but I'll do it.
All right. Southampton, Chelsea. Having watched Southampton this season in a few games, and having watched Chelsea this season, I can only see this going one way. I think Southampton are a typical Mark Hughes squad. They lack any inspiration. I think he's that kind of manager, having seen him manage at QPR, that goes into a club and just drains the life out of players. He's not a good man.
Mike.
He's not
still
a good,
hurting, Mark. Look what you've done to
you're
him.
a bastard, Mark Hughes. I hate you. He's not a good man manager.
He's not.
He's not tactically not good enough for the modern day game.
He's just not a good manager.
I just don't
take the
think-
man out of it. He's not a good manager. How does a guy like this keep getting work?
I don't know, and I think the Southampton job's actually a good job to get. I think they've got some good players.
Fabulous
I think
academy.
you could do a lot with that team if you had the progressive, modern style of thinking to your managerial approach. But I don't think Hughes is the right man. I think Chelsea are on good form, had a good performance against Liverpool. They'll be disappointed they didn't get 3 points after going 1-0 up. Hazard looks like he's on fire. Giroud, even though he's not scoring, I think is a perfect foil for Hazard right now, and I think that's a great combination. I think Willian looks strong, looks good, looks pacey, looks hungry.
Look, even David Luiz looked pretty good last
he
week.
did.
And I do not rate Sideshow Bob, but he looked solid.
Yeah.
And you did right.
I agree. I'm going to go for a big win in Chelsea, with this one. I'm going to go 4-0.
There's not much to dislike about what you've said. Look, I've got a soft spot for Southampton, as I've mentioned. I've got family ties there with my partner. But look, Mark Hughes is just absolutely clueless about how to take this club forward. He just escaped relegation on the last day last season. It looks like they're still in that same battle, but with one less great player up their sleeve.
Yep.
In Tadic. He never got replaced. I think I'm with you. They've got a great academy and they've got some great players. But huge potential as a club. I genuinely think they shouldn't be anywhere near where they are in the table right now. They've just poorly managed. Chelsea, on the other hand, look the goods. Chelsea look 2 years ahead of where I thought they'd be. 4 would be pretty good, but I'm going to go 3 purely because I don't know. I don't know if they'll be as up to it as they were away. It's not far away, but I don't know. It's still Southampton, not horrific at the back.
No.
It's not their biggest problem. So I'm going to say 3-0 Chelsea.
All right, fair enough. It looks like a comfortable Chelsea win anyway.
Now to the easiest and just most
smallest game
of the weekend.
Just a casual little game at Anfield. Liverpool against Manchester City. Champions against title contenders. This is a huge game, absolutely monumental game. This is,
and look, it's huge for both teams because City have dropped points as well.
They have. If
they're only top on goal difference.
If they lose this game, psychologically does a lot.
This is massive. Last season, 4 games, 3 Liverpool wins, 1 City win.
Yep.
Granted, the City win was big, But that was obviously the Mane red card and all the shit that went
yeah.
along with it. It really did change the context of that game.
Did.
I still think they would have won it. They were already ahead, but it did change the game. And look, we mentioned this in the review show. Pep will not sit back.
No.
He will not go to Anfield and pay respect to Klopp. He'll say, I'm going to respect you by having a crack at you. Yeah. And I think that's how Klopp measures respect, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. He wants to see guys have a crack at him, much like Pep does. Yeah. He respected Wolves for doing it, and he'll certainly go to Liverpool, and they'll have a crack. This has just got absolute perler written all over.
Can't wait for it. Absolutely buzzing for it. If we're talking scores, that's the business we're in right now, I'm going for a City win. I think that City are in great form. They're playing some sparkling football. They've got some very gifted players, as of Liverpool, but I just think the top players that City have got are on better form than the top players that Liverpool have got. I think that's going to be too much for Liverpool. I think that it's very difficult to stop City scoring. They've got so many attacking threats, and if it's not working, they can bring on so many players from the bench that I think that they might have too much. And I'm going to go 3-1 to City in this game, as much as that probably pains you, Dave.
What a bastard.
Sorry,
we just need to, let's just have the interlude here of 10 minutes while Dave paces the room trying to think about what he's gonna put here.
20 minutes later.
What do you reckon, Dave? Come on.
Look, it's tough. The reason I'm gonna go Liverpool, and you know me, I'm not actually a all hail Liverpool. I think they're going to win every game kind of guy. I'm actually almost more a glass half empty.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm going to go for them is the form at Anfield. The home form has been amazing. Van Dijk has been incredible.
Crowd are going to be absolutely buzzing.
Crowd will be so fizzing for this.
Yeah.
Van Dijk's in great form. Gomez is dragging along with him, and he's looking fabulous as well. At home, they've been very, very hard to beat. I was tempted for draw, but I just don't think this game has draw on it because both teams are going to be cut and thrust. They're going to be after each other. There's not going to be a score draw here. There's going to be a result.
Yep.
And for me, it's 2-1 Liverpool.
2-1 Liverpool, all right.
And we are going to be... Yeah, these picks are quite different this week.
They are. All right, well, look, we want to know what you think, especially about the big game of the weekend at Anfield. We want to know what you think the score is going to be, who's going to be the influential players, and who you think is going to be right out of me and Dave, probably me. I need to get back next week.
History does suggest.
I need to come back next week.
Current form is what you win games on form.
Form's temporary, Dave. Class is permanent. And I don't know if I've got the class, mate, but I'll give it a crack.
It's a fucking Liverpool banner.
So, we cannot wait for the games this weekend. We think there's going to be some absolute crackers this weekend, and could be some potential upsets in there as well. I'll tell you, there's recipe for it to happen.
And look, tell us below. I mean, come the end of the weekend, win, lose, draw, does Mourinho still have a job?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many talking points right now.
That's right.
Off the pitch as much on. There's a lot going on in the Premier League. It's a wonderful time to be a YouTuber for the Premier League.
That's right. All right, so look, if you like this, don't forget to give us a like, hit subscribe, share this with your mates, and let them know that we release videos every week with cracking YouTube content, cracking Premier League content. Don't forget to check out our Facebook. It's facebook.com/TopBinsFantasy for all the latest goings on with Top Bins and a bit of banter as well. And don't forget to check out our review show from last weekend's Premier League games that we go into very in-depth detail over a couple of games, in particular Jose and the woes that Jose is currently facing.
She's a long one, but she's worth it because, it's interesting and a lot to talk about.
Yeah. So thank you again for checking this out. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you again for next week's Premier League review. Thanks very much. Cheers.